Over 13,000 work permits issued in 2024, Minister Robeson Benn. Newsroom. The Ministry of Home Affairs has reported a significant increase in the issuance of work permits, with a total of 13,713 work permits processed and granted during the year 2024. This surge in permits involved 25 companies across various sectors, including oil and gas, construction, and mining. During an end-of-year press conference on Monday, Minister of Home Affairs, Robeson Benn, highlighted the remarkable growth in work permits issued over the past few years. The figures show a sharp rise from 4,795 permits in 2023, 3,192 in 2022, and 2,995 in 2021. Minister Benn emphasized that the increase in work permits reflects the escalating demand for labor due to ongoing development projects throughout the country. One of our issues and challenges is that there is a great demand for skills in the newly developing areas, he stated. He further elaborated, not only in the oil and gas offshore developments but also in the developments occurring on land. The growth in construction, engineering, and building has led to an explosion of activities, necessitating the importation of labor and professional skills to meet these demands. Benn acknowledged that the need for manpower to complete these projects exceeds the current capacity and skill set available among Guyanese workers. The Ministry of Home Affairs remains committed to addressing the labor needs of the country while ensuring that the development projects continue to progress effectively. Drivers hospitalized following head-on crash at Vreed-en-Hoop. Headon News. 2 drivers are currently hospitalized with multiple fractures following a head-on collision that occurred on Saturday night at New Road, Vreed-en-Hoop, West Coast Demerara, WCD. The accident took place around 10:35 p.m. and involved a minibus, BZZ 6795, owned and driven by Troy Waterman, a 47-year-old resident of Vreed-en-Hoop, and a motor van, GAC 9067, owned and driven by Ronel Pakenram, a 32-year-old from Tushin New Housing Scheme, East Bank, Essequibo. According to police reports, the minibus was traveling east along the northern side of New Road, while the motor van was headed west along the southern side. The collision occurred near the vicinity of a local cone shop. It is alleged by the minibus driver that the van entered his lane, resulting in the head-on crash. Nearby CCTV cameras captured the incident, revealing that the van was reportedly transporting eggs at the time of the collision. Both drivers were pinned inside their vehicles and had to be extricated by emergency services. They were then transported to the West Demerara Regional Hospital, where they are receiving treatment for fractures and various injuries. The police are conducting an investigation into the circumstances surrounding the crash. Suspect to be jointly charged with cop for Giftland car park abduction. Okemo Brummel, a suspect in the abduction case at the Giftland car park, is set to be jointly charged today with Lance Corporal Delon Young, a police officer, for their involvement in the crime. Brummel had been on the run for approximately 3 months following a wanted bulletin issued by police for his role in the October 2024 abduction of Kevin Feetco at the Giftland Mall car park in Lilliendle, Georgetown. He was apprehended a few days ago. According to police sources, investigators have received clearance to charge both Brummel and Young with abduction with intent to hold for ransom. Young, a traffic policeman, had already been charged last week for conspiracy to commit a felony in connection with the same case, though not specifically for the abduction of Feetco. He was granted bail set at $40,000. In addition to Young's charge, another police officer is expected to face charges under the Police Disciplinary Act for the unauthorized use of a police vehicle during the abduction. The incident began when Feetco, 31, was approached by 3 men, 2 of whom were armed and falsely claimed to be police officers. They took him to his home in Providence, East Bank, Demerara, where they demanded a ransom for his release. In total, Feetco was coerced into handing over $9.5 million. The following day, the suspects returned in a police vehicle, demanding additional funds. Feetco reportedly gave them $40,000 to make them leave. The investigation into the abduction continues as authorities work to ensure justice is served. Another 500 body cameras purchased for the Guyana Police Force. The Guyana Police Force has recently acquired an additional 500 body cameras, enhancing the equipment available to ranks during their interactions with the public. This latest purchase brings the total number of body cameras owned by the force to approximately 800. This acquisition follows the earlier procurement of 200 to 300 body cameras, with plans already in place for further purchases. Minister of Home Affairs, Robeson Benn, emphasized the importance of these cameras in fostering transparency and accountability in police operations. The reasons for this initiative are clear. We have seen instances where interactions between the police and the public have been questioned, particularly regarding professional behavior and conduct. Additionally, there have been several assaults on police officers, Benn stated during a recent end-of-year press conference at the Arthur Chung Conference Center. The directive for police ranks to be equipped with body cameras was announced by Commissioner of Police Clifton Hicken during a meeting with senior officers. The body cameras serve as vital tools for capturing visual and audio evidence, which can independently verify events during police-public encounters. Ranks using the body cameras operate under Standard Operating Procedure, SOP, 1 established in May 2015. This SOP outlines the guidelines for the use, management, access, retention, and handling of recorded media, ensuring proper storage and retrieval of evidence captured during official duties. The body cameras will document law enforcement officials' interactions with victims and witnesses, as well as arrests and critical incidents. As the use of this equipment becomes a standard requirement in police operations, ranks are currently undergoing training on its effective utilization. The Guyana Police Force remains committed to enhancing public trust and safety through these initiatives. Education Ministry to consult with stakeholders on bullying policy in schools. News source Guyana. The Ministry of Education, led by Minister Priya Manikchand, has announced plans to hold public consultations aimed at formulating a comprehensive policy to address bullying in schools. In the interim, guidance and counseling officers will be deployed in various schools to tackle the issue effectively. While there has been no significant increase in reported bullying incidents, Minister Manikchand acknowledged that bullying remains a concern within classrooms and schools. She emphasized the need for a robust policy, particularly given the rise of social media as an avenue for bullying. Bullying is not only confined to the classroom. We have received complaints regarding various forms of bullying and abuse of children. However, when considering the larger numbers, we haven't observed a notable increase, she stated. The minister also mentioned a forthcoming program initiated by the late Olato Sam, which will continue with the assistance of Ann Green, former head of the Child Care and Protection Agency. One of the contributing factors to bullying identified by the ministry is the lack of supervision in certain schools. However, with recent interventions, schools that previously reported frequent bullying incidents have seen a decline in cases. The ministry is eager to develop a comprehensive strategy that includes involving parents in the process through contracts and consultations. We have not yet taken our proposals out for consultations. With so many stakeholders involved, it is crucial that we engage with them to ensure successful implementation, Manikchand noted. The issue of bullying has previously prompted the Ministry of Education to collaborate with the Guyana Police Force to conduct random searches in schools for potential weapons. During these operations, various items, including screwdrivers, knives, scissors, and toy guns, have been discovered. The ministry is committed to creating a safe and supportive learning environment for all students and recognizes the importance of collective efforts in addressing bullying effectively. 9 civilians, 2 prison officers charged in 2024 for smuggling contraband into prisons. The Guyana Prison Service, GPS, has announced significant progress in addressing the smuggling of contraband into its facilities throughout 2024, resulting in the apprehension of 9 civilians and the dismissal of 2 prison officers for their involvement in these illegal activities. In response to the growing concern over contraband infiltration, the GPS has implemented a series of stringent security measures, including regular reviews of operational protocols, enhanced closed-circuit television, CCTV, surveillance both inside and around prison premises, and the deployment of drone technology. Increased searches of individuals entering the facilities, along with comprehensive physical searches of the estates, have also been integral to the strategy aimed at preventing the smuggling of illegal items. Commonly seized contraband includes narcotics, cellular phones, weapons, money, and alcohol. Items that pose significant risks to the safety of prisoners, staff, and the general public. Smuggling contraband is deemed a serious offense under Section 53(1) of the Prison Act, which carries potential fines or imprisonment. Nick-Lon Elliott, Director of Prisons, praised the vigilance and dedication of prison staff in thwarting smuggling attempts over the past year. He emphasized that both members of the public and prison officers caught engaging in contraband smuggling would face severe legal repercussions. Elliott reiterated the GPS's commitment to combating corruption within its ranks, stating that any personnel found complicit in illegal activities would face disciplinary action. Maintaining security and integrity within Guyana's prison system remains a top priority for the GPS as they continue to tackle contraband smuggling into 2025. CANU seizes record 6,000 kilograms of narcotics in 2024, over 70 arrested. The Customs Anti-Narcotic Unit, CANU, has reported a significant increase in drug seizures in 2024, with approximately 6,000 kilograms of illegal narcotics confiscated. This remarkable figure includes 5,094 kilograms of cocaine, with a substantial portion, 4.5 tons, discovered buried in hand-dug pits in Region 1, Barimaweni, camouflaged with wood, tarpaulin, and bush. The street value of these cocaine seizures alone is estimated at $195 million. In addition to cocaine, the haul comprised 1,643 kilograms of cannabis and 992 grams of methamphetamine, underscoring the variety of illegal substances circulating in the region. As a result of these operations, 71 individuals have been arrested. During the Ministry of Home Affairs end-of-year press conference at the Arthur Chung Conference Center, Minister Robeson Benn described the findings as dramatic, attributing the surge in cocaine seizures to intensified efforts against drug trafficking. "We have had a dramatic increase in the cocaine seizures and also the work in relation to drug trafficking," Benn stated. Importantly, Benn noted that the local demand for cocaine and marijuana remains minimal, indicating that the narcotics trade is primarily export-oriented. "The demand is not in Guyana for cocaine or marijuana," he remarked. The fight against drug trafficking has involved not only local law enforcement but also international collaboration. Benn highlighted that foreign nationals have been charged and several aircraft linked to drug smuggling have been destroyed during these operations. While acknowledging the successes, he emphasized the need for enhanced international cooperation, stating that local authorities require more physical support from their overseas counterparts to more effectively combat this growing issue. Man fined for pelting woman with brick. Guyana Times. A 50-year-old carpenter and mason, Clive Caravan, from East Ruimveldt, Front Road, Georgetown, has been fined $50,000 or faces 3 months in prison for assaulting a woman with a brick during a confrontation on January 9. Caravan appeared before Magistrate Fabio Azor at the Georgetown Magistrates Court on Friday, where he was charged with unlawfully assaulting Daphne Langvine with the intent to cause her bodily harm. He pleaded guilty to the charge, stating in court, "Ma'am, she pelt me first, and I pelt she back." The court heard that Caravan and Langvine have known each other for years, with Caravan frequently doing work for Langvine and her brother. The incident occurred when Caravan entered Langevine's yard, an area he had previously been warned to avoid. Caravan claimed his niece sent him to the back of the yard, and as he entered, Langvine threw a brick at him. He stated that the brick hit him in the chest, prompting him to retaliate with the same brick, which struck her in the right eye. Magistrate Azor inquired about Langevine's injury, noting the significant swelling in her eye, suggesting it must have been a hard pelt. Clive acknowledged, "I know, Mommy, I know I pelt she hard, I know." Langvine testified that Caravan had been verbally abusive and disrespectful toward her, and she had reported him to the police 2 weeks prior, seeking a warning for him to stay away from her yard. Despite her efforts to avoid conflict, Caravan's niece sent him into the yard on the day of the incident, leading to the confrontation. Langvine admitted to throwing the brick first, explaining that she asked him what he was doing in her yard before throwing it. She expressed fear of further harm from Caravan, believing his presence was a personal attack, and she worried he might break into her house or harm her in other ways. In court, Clive apologized, saying, "Yes, I know. I am sorry, I am sorry. I will buy a cream for she." However, Magistrate Azor remarked that given the extent of Langevine's injury, by now, she wouldn't want the cream. In delivering the sentence, the magistrate considered Langevine's admission of provocation and noted that Clive had no prior offenses. While the injury was not life-threatening, it was severe and could leave a scar. Clive was fined $50,000 or given the option of serving 3 months in prison. Mammography services to soon be available at Suddie Hospital. Guyana Chronicle, Regional Health Officer, RHO, of Region 2, Dr. Ranjiv Singh, announced that mammography services will be launched at Suddie Public Hospital within the next 2 weeks. This significant development was shared during the Regional Democratic Council's, RDC, January statutory meeting. Dr. Singh emphasized that the introduction of these services is part of the government's ongoing efforts to enhance healthcare infrastructure and modernize the health sector. Residents in Region 2 will soon have direct access to mammography services, marking a crucial step toward improving health outcomes for women, he stated. In addition to improving infrastructure, the Ministry of Health is focused on building human capacity by training individuals in essential healthcare roles, including nursing and pharmacy assistants. Recently, over 101 residents completed various training programs within the region. Dr. Singh noted that the completion of a multimillion-dollar training center will provide even more opportunities for young people to acquire valuable skills, with graduates expected to work in health facilities across the region. Dr. Singh also highlighted the Ministry of Health's commitment to decentralizing healthcare services in Region 2. As part of this initiative, simple diagnostic tests, such as complete blood count, CBC, will soon be available in remote areas. Training is being provided to residents of Amerindian communities to become laboratory technicians, enabling them to return to their communities and offer essential medical services. This decentralization will allow for earlier diagnosis and treatment, Dr. Singh explained, also mentioning the introduction of telemedicine to improve access to specialized care for patients in remote locations. Melrose Henry, government counselor and chairperson of the Hinterland Affairs Committee, commended Dr. Singh and the Ministry of Health for their efforts in enhancing the health sector. She praised the ongoing training initiatives for hinterland residents who are returning to serve their communities, expressing her satisfaction with the progress being made. With these advancements, Region 2 is poised to offer more equitable and accessible healthcare services, bringing hope and better health outcomes to its residents. WPA calls for broad consultations ahead of 2025 national budget. News source Guyana, the Working People's Alliance, WPA, has voiced concerns regarding the upcoming national budget, questioning whether it will address the genuine needs of the Guyanese populace or primarily serve to maintain the People's Progressive Party, PPP, in power. WPA executive member and co-leader Dr. David Hines criticized the government for its apparent lack of broad-based consultations in the budget preparation process. The absence of comprehensive input raises doubts about the government's commitment to addressing the needs of the people, Dr. Hines stated. He challenged claims made by Vice President Jagdeo about community consultations, asking, when were these consultations held, and with which communities? Were they publicly announced? Which government agencies facilitated these discussions? Were opposition parties or civil society organizations, particularly trade unions, included in these consultations? Dr. Hines emphasized that budgets should reflect the country's needs, priorities, and broader economic vision. Given the current socio-political landscape and the government's narrow majority, he argued that inclusive consultation is crucial. While the WPA has not yet reviewed the proposed budget, Dr. Hines highlighted areas of concern, particularly the government's emphasis on infrastructural spending in previous budgets. While we welcome investment in infrastructure, we believe the government has overemphasized this area. A more balanced spending approach is needed, reflecting diverse priorities and an integrated economic outlook, he remarked. Dr. Hines called for a redistribution of resources across critical sectors, stressing that poverty alleviation should be a primary focus of the budget. After each budget, we have criticized the government's inconsistent approach to poverty reduction. For our country to advance, we must eliminate systemic obstacles to development, with poverty being a significant barrier. The government's reliance on unstructured cash grants and clientelism risks deepening persistent poverty, he added. Additionally, the WPA plans to closely monitor how the government addresses wages and salaries, advocating for a minimum wage of no less than $200,000. The WPA remains committed to ensuring that the voices of all Guyanese are heard in the budgetary process and will continue to advocate for a fair and equitable allocation of resources. Foulis gas explosion. Hospitalized couple improving amid investigations. Guyana Times. Couple injured in the gas explosion at Foulis on January 5 is showing signs of recovery while remaining hospitalized. Bamati Gunput, 55, and her common-law partner, Manu Paul Suku, 58, sustained severe burns in the incident that resulted in the complete destruction of their home. Their daughter, Sandeha Gulram, reported that her parents are improving but remain emotionally and physically fragile. I visited them yesterday and they're doing better than before, but my mother is still traumatized. She's in shock and has been talking differently. However, the doctor said they are coming around, but they just need to help themselves, Gulram explained. The family is seeking clarity on the cause of the explosion, as they have not yet received definitive answers. Massey, Guyana, Limited, the supplier of the gas cylinder involved, initially reported that the cylinder was intact during inspections. However, new claims suggest the stove knob may have been left on. The family contends that this was not mentioned during Massey's visit to the site. Gulram stated that technicians involved in the investigation have been unable to determine the exact cause. We haven't heard from them or the Guyana Fire Service, GFS, since the incident to know definitely what went wrong. The technicians from Massey said that the bottles and everything seemed intact and they do not know what might have caused the explosion, she said. In response to growing public concern about the safety of gas cylinders, Augustus Harris, CEO of Massey Gas Products, has sought to reassure customers that the cylinders themselves are not to blame for the reported incidents. He emphasized that none of the fires reported involved actual gas cylinder explosions, attributing the incidents to faulty or substandard fittings and hoses. First thing I'd like to say is there have been no gas cylinder explosions. What we've seen are fires caused by other factors, not ruptured cylinders, Harris clarified in an interview. He explained that fires involving gas cylinders often stem from issues like inferior quality regulators and hoses or stove knobs being left in the on position. Harris highlighted the rigorous safety standards employed by Massey, which include a combination of manual and automated leak detection tests. Each cylinder undergoes a re-qualification process to ensure it is fit for service. Ryan Bastio, Senior Production Manager, detailed how regulators should be properly attached to gas cylinders to prevent leaks or other issues. He emphasized the importance of checking for cracks in the rubber seal and ensuring the regulator is in the off position before attaching it, using only Massey-approved fittings. Harris noted that Massey supplies approximately 300,000 gas cylinders to households across Guyana, which explains the frequency of mentions in such incidents due to its market share. The Foulis explosion is one of several incidents involving Massey's gas cylinders in recent months, including a fire at a Hearst-Telling grocery shop in August that caused severe burns to the owner. While Massey has expressed sympathy for affected families and is actively campaigning for the use of proper regulators and fittings, residents remain concerned. For the Gunput family, the uncertainty surrounding the cause of the explosion and the trauma of losing their home has been overwhelming. Their house was completely destroyed, leaving them displaced and with many questions about how to move forward.